We'll touch a few points today before Gabar comes in from the New York location to teach his segment later. The three things we'll try to touch on, and I hope we have enough time. Number one, what is the Holocaust? And how does that relate to prophecy today? Number two, we wanted to show who is Melchizedek according to Scripture. And number three, we'll give you the information so that you can actually be able to go onto our site and look into the high holy days and how to actually track them yourself with that particular calendar. Those are the three things we hope that we can do in its total completion today through the Spirit of the Most High. Okay, so there's no disruptions. You probably want to put your book forward so that when you read, you don't go out of the frame there. Yeah. So before we go into there, so there's no disruptions, I want to make sure that we're streaming fine and that the audio is fine right now. So everything is good. Gun? Okay, that's a blessing. So the first part of our lesson on this Shabbat or Sabbath day, which is ironically the seventh day of the week, Most High says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, and that we are not to do our gatherings in honor of him on the first day of the week, which is the sun god worship of Sunday worship. I want to put that out there. We're here on the Sabbath. Sunday is the first day of the week. Okay? The worshiping of the sun. The seventh day of the week is the Sabbath. Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. You have a choice to rest on that day or not to do your own pleasures, but to raise people in the Most High and heal and give spiritual gifts on the Sabbath. Now, this topic we are about to go into may seem slightly controversial, but it will give you full understanding on what is the Holocaust. Now, in modern day media and modern day historians, they would tell you, when you hear the buzzword Holocaust, it's closely related or only related to the slaying of European Jewish people who were in the ghettos of Poland and different parts of Germany and were slaughtered. Well, they were predominantly in Germany, excuse me, that they were slaughtered by Hitler, and that 6 million Jewish people who were minding their own business were slaughtered by these European Germans. And as we know, we are told that it was a pretext, okay, to the Reichstag building was a pretext of this Holocaust, where Hitler destroyed his own Reichstag building, and they blamed it on the Polish. They dressed up one of their military men as a Polish person with Polish apparel, and claimed that Poland attacked the Reichstag building, which was a building of communication that Germany was using. And as a pretext of this, Hitler began war on different parts of Europe, culminating or apexing into the slaughter of 6 million Jewish people. Now that's the narrative. There's a few points about this particular narrative that's suspect. The first part of this narrative, if you can parallel it to what we see today with America in the Twin Towers, they've just so-called commemorated the 10th anniversary of September 11th. The buildings were attacked and blamed on bin Laden. It parallels almost the same story as Hitler. Through this, it was a pretext to have a war on terror. Eventually, the main boogeyman was on the run, bin Laden, and they mysteriously killed him in Afghanistan in his so-called bunker. The narrative changed like 15, 20 times. They say that he, Pakistan, in Pakistan, his bunker in Pakistan. They're in so many areas, sometimes I get a miss. So they claim they found his bunker in Pakistan. Thank you, Ezo. And even though, you know, bin Laden been dead for almost a decade now, they said that his body was dumped to rest at sea in respect of the Islamic wishes, as if the Western world cares about Islamic culture. And they laid his body at rest, and therefore no one knows where he is. He's shark bait. So if you parallel this to Hitler, Hitler was on the run, and no one found his body after the war. So the boogeyman that's behind these 6 million people being destroyed was not brought to trial. He mysteriously disappeared. And another part of the narrative is these museums that the media and that the powers promote that claim they found Hitler's skull. They did research on this particular skull, and it's the skull of a female. So here it is, you have similar narratives where a building is attacked, is a pretext to destroy someone, then the main boogeyman mysteriously disappears, right? And is nowhere to be found. But in the event of all this, at the end of all this, this narrative usually ends with occupation and colonization. It ends with America or the Europeans occupying foreign lands and putting their troops there to begin a genocide on the people that they're displaced amongst. This is the narrative. So really, it's not about the world powers. These narratives they make to get public sentiment behind their propaganda is really not the true focus of their plan. The true focus of their plan is occupation. Okay? Occupation and colonization, to colonize an area. But they need a pretext in which there's patriotism and a public sentiment where the masses can get behind their colonization and destroying of a people. So the way this works, before these events happen, you have the elite of the world who sit down in circles. Usually it's the Club of Rome, descendants of Romans, and they discuss in their private meetings how to attack or take down a particular area. And then they employ and hire narratives like script writers who can come up with a good script in which the people would believe, so that they'll have a pretext to go into a country and colonize or destroy altogether. So, what was the end result